Hey there, Lacey here with the Sweet Pea Chef. Welcome back. During the spring and summer months, you can pretty much find me making healthy frozen yogurts, ice creams, and sorbets on the daily. They're so easy to make and the perfect frozen sweet treat. And since we have strawberries in season right now, I totally thought, how about we make some strawberry sorbet using just 3 ingredients? Sounds amazing, right? Plus, it's healthy, it's dairy-free, it is so delicious, it's low carb, and you don't need an ice cream maker to make it. So let's get started. Before I forget, if you haven't already, make sure you go and subscribe to my channel so you get all sorts of healthy eating inspiration and tons of recipe videos coming your way. All right, so let's get this straight. This is a very simple recipe. You only need just a few ingredients and it follows the same basic principles as the sorbets that I've shared in the past, like my pineapple sorbet, my cantaloupe sorbet, my mango sorbet, all of that. And you can use it with any fresh seasonal fruit or even frozen fruits. It's pretty awesome. Regular store-bought sorbet shockingly has a ton of sugar in it. It's made with fruit juice and water and sugar, and fruit juice by itself is really high in sugar and doesn't have any good stuff in it. That's why I use the entire fruit minus the husk for our strawberries. That way we're gonna get all of that nutrients and the fiber and the vitamins that you actually get from the fruit, that whole fruit, rather than just the fruit juice. And seriously, this recipe is super simple. I bet you have all the ingredients in your kitchen right now. All you need are fresh or frozen strawberries, some raw honey, and a little bit of water. So easy. For fresh strawberries, we need to clean and then cut them and then freeze them. So to do that, go ahead and get your strawberries and rinse them off in running water. Then we're going to lay them out on a cutting board and remove their husk using a knife. I like to then slice my strawberries in half so that they freeze easier and then they'll blend easier later. Then I lay the strawberries out on a rimmed baking sheet lined with some parchment paper. You don't need to have the rimmed baking sheet, I just want to have a flat surface so that all the strawberries can be separated and they're not touching each other. If they touch each other, they're gonna freeze together and it's gonna be a little tricky to break apart and then blend later. Now we need to freeze our strawberries, so transfer them into the freezer and freeze for a good 2 to 3 hours until they're nicely frozen. You could also just freeze them overnight, which is something that I've done in the past when I know I'm gonna be making a sorbet the next day. So like I said, you can totally use frozen strawberries for this recipe. You don't have to buy fresh local strawberries. However, with fresh seasonal strawberries and any produce for that matter, you can control how it tastes because you know before you freeze it that it's nice and sweet and good. If you buy frozen strawberries, you don't really get to have any control over that. Now we have frozen strawberries, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna transfer them into the bowl of a food processor. I like to let them set in the food processor for a good 5 to 10 minutes in order to allow them to kind of start to soften a little bit. This is gonna make it easier to blend in just a sec. Put the lid on your food processor and then we're gonna pulse it for a few times, letting the strawberries break up and become crumbly. At this point, when they're evenly crumbly, you can add in a little bit of warm water. You won't have to add in as much warm water at this point if you had allowed your strawberries to thaw a little bit. We're just looking to add a little bit extra moisture into the mixture and then we're gonna put the lid back on and then we're gonna process it again. At this point, just let the machine go. We're looking for the strawberries to get nice and smooth and creamy looking. As you're processing the strawberries, you might need to use a spatula to kind of push everything down to help it along every once in a while. It's all done when the mixture resembles a soft serve texture. So go ahead and taste test this now and see how it tastes. If it needs a little bit of sweetness, you can add in some raw honey or some pure maple syrup if you're vegan, and then process it again. We don't want to add in the sweetness early because we don't know how it's going to taste until this point. So this strawberry sorbet is ready to eat right now. You can eat it right out of the food processor. Don't think that I haven't done that many a time. Or you can transfer it into a freezer safe container and then place it in the freezer for a good 1 to 2 hours. Allow it to kind of solidify more. Then when you're ready to grab it and eat it, allow it to set on your counter for about 10 to 15 minutes at room temperature and then mix everything together. That'll get that nice smooth sorbet texture again. Also, this recipe doubles and triples and quadruples really well. So if you have a ton of strawberries, you can just blend it all at the same time or do it in batches and then store it together. You'll have delicious strawberry sorbet waiting for you in your freezer at all the times, and it just took you a few minutes to make. All right, I hope you absolutely love this delicious sorbet recipe and how easy it is to use fresh strawberries and just a few ingredients to make homemade sorbet, people. So awesome. For more frozen sweet treats, check out my frozen sweet treat playlist. I got sorbets and frozen yogurts and ice creams, all healthy, all clean eating, and all goodness. Check that out. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and let me know what sorbet recipe I should make next. Thanks so much. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.